All right, so class, let's start with the next question. Your rich godfather has offered you a choice of 10,000 now, or 2,000 a year for the next 8 years, or 24,000 at the end of the 8th year. So which one are you going to choose? So you tell your uncle, just wait for a while. Let me do some calculation, and I will let you know exactly what is my decision. Right? It's better in that sense. So you have three options here, and you are required to calculate two set of calculation, one using 11% and one using 12%. And out of all these three different choices, which one you will choose at two different uh, interest rates, right? So class, let me show you for the first one, then then you can calculate for the one with 12%, right? So part A, which is the first alternative, which is 10,000. See, for 10,000, you don't need to calculate anything, right? Because it is already in the present value, 10,000. So you need to convert the other two into present value as well to make a reasonable comparison. Because if it's one is PV, another one is annuity, and this one is future value, three different values you cannot compare. So you need to make it all the same present value. Then only you can make a right choice. So this is PMT because every year, and this is end of the 8th year, so the future value. So the 2000 becomes annuity, and this is how you show if you are. Of course, you need to show what is the PMT, uh, what is the interest, what is the period, and here it show this is how you show it for workings when you use your PV table, right? So 2000 times present value annuity interest factor PVIFA, and in the bracket you show what is the interest rate and what is the duration, 11% in 8 years. All right, so you get 5.146 in your present value annuity table. So times 2000, you should be getting 10,292. All right, and for part C, or the third alternative, you receive 24,000 at the 8th year, so you put PBIF. All right, so this is the future value. You are calculating present value interest factor, 11% interest rate, and it's 8 years. Therefore, you get 10,460. All right, so this you should be getting 0.434. So among these three options, one is A is 10,000, B is 10,292, C is 10,406. Which one do you choose? Whichever the highest. Therefore, here the highest would be the third option, which is 24,000 in the 8th year. All right. So class, next you're required to calculate for 12%. Again, same three alternatives. Find out for 12% and tell me which one is your choice. All right. So class, pause the video and then you can calculate and see what did you get. All right. So class, you're back. Which one is your answer? Is it option of getting 10,000 or option of 2,000 every year or 24,000 at the end of the 8th year? Which one is your choice? Your choice should be 10,000. All right, when you're using 12%, your choice should be 10,000 now, right? Because 2,000 a year gives you your present value annuity would be 9,936, and the 24,000, the present value would be 9,696. All right, so 10,000 is the highest among the three options. All right. So your answer is 10,000 now. For 11%, it is 24,000. But when it's 12%, your option is different, right? So 10,000. Okay, so let's move on. All right, so now we have a different scenarios where you have multiple cash flows. Previously, we had just one lump sum, all right, or same amount repeats. So now we have a different scenario that if you deposit 100 today in an account paying 8%, in 1 year, you will deposit another 100. How much will you have in 2 years? All right. So the first year when you invest 100, you get 8% interest, and the second year you deposit another 100. All right. So you have 208, and then on the end of the second year you have total 208 times the interest rate. Again, you get 224.64. All right, so you deposit 100 first year and another 100 in the second year. All right, that's why you include the interest here, 108 plus 100 beginning of the second year, and end of the second year both will be we have a compounding interest, therefore you get 224.64. So this is the timeline to show you beginning of the year, or beginning of the year one, and this is the beginning of the year two. All right, so this one you can say end of the year one or beginning of the year two, right? So the cash flow is 100, and that 100 becomes 108 end of the year one or beginning of the year two, and in the beginning of the year two you have deposited another 100, that becomes 208. Again you have interest rate for the whole year and you get 224.64. All right, so if you're not sure about this, you can just draw a timeline, then you can have a clear understanding. All right, so now the second scenario here, you think you will be able to deposit 4,000 at the end of each of the next 3 years in a bank account paying 8% interest. So currently you already have 7,000. All right, so class, you're planning to deposit 4,000 for the next 3 years, but you already have 7,000 in the account. So how much will you have in 3 years, and how much you will have in 4 years? So that is the question. So let's look. Okay, so first we're looking at the current investment that we already have, which is 7,000. So that you want to know what is the future value, because the question is how much will you have in 3 years and how much will you have in 4th year. So they are asking you to calculate the future value. So 7,000 you are leaving in the bank for investment for the next 3 years, right? Because they're asking the first question asking for 3 years. So 7,000 interest compounded at 8% for the next 3 years, power of 3, you get 8,817.98. And then year one, you have deposited 4,000, only have 2 more years for the compounding. And year two, another 4,000, you have just 1 year left for compounding. And the year three value, all right, you deposit 4,000, there's no longer compounding effect. All right, so you add all these together, you'll be getting 21,803.58. So that is your total future value. All right, if you have 7,000, you already have 7,000. The next 3 years you have 4,000, 4,000, 4,000 with the 8% interest rate compounding, you'll be getting 21,000. All right, but the question also asks you to calculate the 4th year, right? So 4th year, what you can do, you can change the 3 to 4, because you have 4 years of compounding. This becomes 3, this becomes 2, and this becomes 1. All right, you can do that, or you can straight away take this amount times 1.08, because this is third year, you're keeping all that for the next 1 year. So you have 1 year compounding, you'd be getting 23,547.87. So that would be your answer. All right, so class, here's example 2. All right, you deposit 100 in year 1, 200 in year 2, 300 in third year. How much you will have in year 3 when it's 7% interest? So 100 times 1.07 power of, yeah, you guessed it right, 2. The first year, you have 2 more years for it to compound, because you are investing in year 1. All right, the question never say you have already 100, that means year 0. So when you say year 1 year or year 1, that means we're talking about end of the year. So you only have 2 more years of compounding. So 100 times 1.07 power of 2, you get 114.49. Year 2, 200 times 1.07, you have only 1 year compounding, so you get 214. Year 3, you have 300, no longer any more time to reinvest, so it's exactly 300. So your total value in 3 years, you should be getting 628.49. All right, so plus you can fill up the information here. You should be getting 628.49. It's quite straightforward, right? How much in year 5 you would have accumulated? Okay, previously your calculation was until 3 years, which is 628.49. So now you want to know how much you're going to have in year 5. So what do? 628.49, you're compounding for another 2 years, you'll be getting 719.56. Okay. Or on the other hand, you can calculate one by one again, which is 100 for the next 4 years, 200 for the next 3 years, 300 for the next 2 years. All right, you will be getting the same answer, 719.56. All right, so of course this illustration shows you how is it done as well. All right, so until year 3 you get 628. In year, if you want to know until year 5, so you just keep it until year 5, where you just compound it with for another 2 years. All right, so there's another example with multiple cash flows. 100 in year 1, 300 in year 3. How much will you have in the 8th year? All right, so 100 you will leave it for the next 4 years, therefore compounding at 4. Okay, and 300 you're just compounding for 2 years because you are just depositing in year 3. So adding that together, you should be getting 485.97, right? All right, so let's move on to the next question, buying a house. All right, this is something more practical and a bit more complex than the previous examples, those who are quite straightforward. So let's look at the question now. You are ready to buy a house and you have 20,000 down payment and closing costs. Closing cost means the lawyer fees, stamp duty you pay the government. So that is closing cost. All right, so your closing cost estimated to be 4% of the loan value. All right, whatever the loan amount you get, you have to pay 4% for the closing cost. So your annual salary is 36,000. The bank willing to give you a monthly mortgage equal to 28% your monthly income. All right, so whatever you earn monthly, out of that 28%, the maximum amount they can give you for the mortgage payment, right? The interest rate on the loan is 6% per year, so monthly compounding would be 0.5%. And it's for 30-year fixed rate loan. So your loan is for the next 30 years, right? So how much money will the bank loan you? And how much can you offer the house? So you have two calculations here. You need to know how much the bank willing to give you, the maximum amount they're willing to give you, and then from that you can calculate how much you are eligible, how much uh, the loan eligibility you have, plus whatever the down payment you have. So total how much you can offer to buy a house. All right, so let's start a calculation. All right, so let's calculate the bank loan first. Your monthly income is 36,000 divided by 12. All right, because they just give you annual income. So your monthly income is 3,000. So the maximum payment allowed, all right, your mortgage is 840, which is your monthly income times 0.28 or 28%. So the bank say they can only give you 28% from their monthly income as your mortgage commitment. All right, so the next thing you're asked to calculate how much, what is the value of the loan you can get. Okay, so because you already get your PMT, now you need to calculate the present value. All right, so you can use your formula, right? Your annuity is 840, then 1 minus 1 over 1.005 times 360 times divided by 0.05. Okay, of course class here is shown is exactly the same formula. The only difference here is 1 minus becomes, the whole thing becomes negative 360. All right, so here n becomes 360 because it's a monthly commitment, right? Your house is a monthly commitment for 30 years times 12 becomes 360. Then your interest rate is, since we're calculating for monthly, it becomes 0.5%, and your mortgage amount is 840. All right, so class, if you use the formula to calculate, all right, you can try now, you could calculate. Okay, you should be getting 140,105. All right, so this is the maximum loan amount you are eligible to get. Okay, so class, n is given, I is given, pmt given, so you are required to calculate your present value annuity. All right, so using the formula you should be getting 140.105. You might not able to calculate using PV table because I don't think you have n equals to 360 or I that equals to 0.5. So you have to use the present value annuity formula. All right, the next part is the question given you, ask you to calculate the total price. Okay, how do you calculate the total price of the house? Your closing costs, they say 0.4% of your loan value. So 0.04 times the loan amount, you get 5,604. And your down payment is 20,000 minus your closing cost. Therefore, it's 14,396. Because the question said you only had 20,000 and you're going to use the 20,000 for down payment as well as for the closing cost. So this minus 5,604, your down payment is 14,396. All right. So class, why are we talking about down payment? Because if you want to buy a house, you won't get 100% bank loan. All right. Of course, there are some schemes out there, but most of the time you need to put a down payment. It's like usually 10%. So the loan value plus the down payment, that is a total price, total value of your house, which is 154,501. All right, so that is the value. So that is answering both the questions. What is the bank loan value and what is the total price of the house? All right, so let's move on to the next example. All right, here you have, suppose you borrow 2,000 at a 5% interest and you're going to make annual payment of 734.42. How long before you pay off the loan? All right, so class here, yeah, they are asked to calculate the duration, right? And I is given PV, right? When you borrow, you're borrowing now, so PV is given, and your annual payment of 734.42. All right, so therefore this is the annuity. So let's calculate. So this is the PVA. All right, so class is there. Since the annuity question becomes the present value annuity equals to your annuity 1 minus 1 over 1.05 power of n. Okay, so class, this 1 over 1.05 becomes, in your time value of money formula, it becomes 1.05 negative n. All right, instead of putting 1 divided by 1.05, it becomes 1.05 negative. Okay, divide by the interest rate. So first 2000 divided by 734, you get 0.1361. Then you still have this amount, then divide 0.05 becomes times 0. Times 0.05, right? So first 2000 divide 734.42, then times 0.05, then you start calculating for the rest of the part, which is 1 minus, here becomes 1. If you go over here, it becomes minus. Okay, or you can work the other way around. You bring it over here, it becomes positive. This, bring it the other way around, becomes negative. All right, then becomes 1 minus this 0.863, and this becomes positive. All right, the next thing is 1.04, 1.05. Okay, then this, the one becomes over here becomes divide, therefore you becomes 1.05. Class, the next part is you are required to calculate using logarithm ln. Only then you can able to solve your t. All right, so this, the whole thing, use your calculator, ln bracket this, divide by ln, the natural logarithm, in your bracket 1.05, you will be getting answer equals to 3 years. All right, the answer will be equals to 3 years. All right, so with that, we have completed chapter 5.